I've heard Rabbi David Wolfman speak at 3 different conferences, 3 different times in the past few years. At the URJ Biennial in Orlando this November, I suggested to Susan Galinsky that she would probably really appreciate what he had to share. Susan, myself, and about 25 other Temple Beth staff and congregants were fortunate enough to go to the URJ Biennial, which for those of you who don't know, is a gathering of 5,000 committed Reformed Jews from all over the world, where, and I quote Susan here, because I love the way she expresses it, we had an opportunity to sharpen our skills, ask tough questions, and help pave the way to an enlightened future. That's so much of what all this is about. So Rabbi Wolfman was Susan's favorite speaker, hands down, at the conference. And it was Susan's suggestion that we bring him in to engage the Sisterhood of Temple Beth to help us map out our future. Rabbi Wolfman is an expert in change and transition and so much of what we all go through. His impact on me personally was strongest in relation to gaining perspective on finding our why, focusing on our real purpose to maintain stability and forward momentum. You can read all about his expertise and his experience in the program booklet. I just know that he is really easy to talk to. He's inspiring. He tells great stories. And I feel like the timing is really good for Rabbi Wolfman to be here and to engage our congregation, partly because this is a significant transition year for us. And Temple Beth is also so committed to staying on the cutting edge of what is happening in the Reform movement and in Judaism. On that note, I am so happy to have a chance to learn again tonight from our guest speaker. Please join me in welcoming Rabbi David Wolfman.
So I see lots of congregations around the world, lots of them. Yours became one of my very favorite ones tonight. Because usually, before or after a service, there are like jelly hole donut, what do they call it? Munchkins, right? Or cookies from Entman's, right? You guys have wine. This is awesome and real food. I mean, yes, you can clap. It'll get me to join. Absolutely. And I loved the pre-neg. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. I loved when the lights went on and off, we were all able to walk into the sanctuary together. I loved that. And so one of the things that I do as a hobby is I collect stories. I collect my experiences from congregations. One of the things that has fascinated me since I was a rabbinical student was the collection of tradition. I collect traditions, just like I collected tonight, and believe you me, I'm going to be talking about your congregation all over the place about the pre-neg, and it was just awesome. And by the way, can we give it up for the music tonight? Was that amazing? Right? Fantastic. Fantastic. My neck hurts a little bit because I'm looking up at the words. Right? But at any rate, I first started collecting traditions when I was a rabbinical student. I went to rabbinical school in Cincinnati, and there was a congregation, ironically, I'm working with them still on a major change that they're going through. It's Temple Sholem of Cincinnati, Ohio. And Temple Sholem of Cincinnati, Ohio was great because it was right near the rabbinical school. So every summer, the rabbi would take vacation, and the student rabbis would fill in. So it was a great behind-the-wheel training program, right? So it was my turn to lead services, and a week before, my wife said, "David, we should go to services." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Because you're leading services there next week, and you should probably see how it's done," right? And I learned even back then, I said, "Yes, ma'am." And so we went to services, and I found the strangest thing, right? Picture this as the bima. You're the congregation. The door to the rabbi's study was back there. So this is how services started. I'm from New Jersey originally, ran away to Boston and stayed there forever, right? So I don't know from this Cincinnati Midwest stuff. The door to the rabbi's study opens, the rabbi comes out, and the whole congregation rises. And I'm like, this is weird, right? He walks down the aisle, he gets to the bottom of the bima, pushes a button, and the ark goes, it opens up, the rabbi goes in the ark, puts on a tallis, does a silent prayer, pushes the button, and he starts, and everyone sits down. And I said, okay, the silent prayer thing, that's pretty cool, but they stand here in the South, in the Midwest? That's weird. So Jane and I are talking about it. She says, but David, don't worry about it. They're not going to stand for you next week. You're just a student, right? So I'm all nervous and everything, and this is in the days, this is in the early 80s, so I'm wearing my black robe, right? And open up the door, and they stand. And I go, this is weird. And I'm walking going, this is uncomfortable. This is uncomfortable. I could get used to this. I could get used to this, right? I go up to the bottom of the bima, I push the button, it opens up, I put on the tallis, say the prayer, it closes, and we begin the services. Okay, so I'm a collector of tradition. I have to find out why they do this. So during the Oneg Shabbat, I'm interviewing as many people as I can talk to, and I'm saying, why do people stand when the rabbi walks in? And they all say the same thing. I don't know, because the rabbi walks in. Right? So this older gentleman says, I hear you want to know why we stand. I said, yeah. He said, follow me. We went into the rabbi's study. Okay? Now picture, remember that door? Picture the door right here. So if I open up the door, I'm walking into the sanctuary, right? So we're standing at the door, and over there hung a picture. He said, take it off the wall. So I took it off the wall, and underneath it was a button. He said, push it. So I pushed the button. Nothing happened. He said, exactly, it's broken. It used to open the door to the ark. So from the privacy of the rabbi's study, he would push the button to the ark, the doors would open, and the congregation would rise. He would open the door, he'd walk out and all of that. Now it's broken, so he opens the door, they rise. I call them congregation B'nai Pavlov. We Jews are very funny. We find traditions and my professor in Cincinnati, Dr. Jacob J. Pedakowski of blessed memory, he said that one generation's experiment becomes the next generation's tradition, becomes the following generation's law. I had my student pulpit was in trouble. This is true, I can't make this up, I'm not this smart. There's a congregation in Traverse City, Michigan. I was their student rabbi, and it had a whopping 30 families, right? And they lived in a 90-minute radius from one another. People drove. Once a month, the student rabbi would come, and they'd spend the whole weekend in Traverse City, Michigan. Gorgeous, by the way. Weird thing. It was an old Sephardic synagogue originally, so the bima was in the middle, and you kind of walked up on it. Whenever someone came up for an aliyah, they would go like this. And I'm going, this is not Jewish. This is definitely not Jewish. And I'm asking everyone, why do you do this? And they go, because you do that when you go up on the bima. I said, no, you don't, right? And someone said, Val, they used to hang there, chandelier. I can't make this stuff up. I really cannot make it up. What I'd like to share with you tonight is a concept that I've been playing with for the last few years. I've visited hundreds of congregations all over the world, but most notably here in North America. Change is really hard, right? Change is really hard. Transition is even harder. I remember when I was young, when I was 14, my mother made me go into the junior choir. Where's the cantor? Where's she left? No. Okay. It's a tradition. My mother made me go to the junior choir with an agenda. She said, have fun, sweetie, and find out why he changed the melody to the Shema. That was her agenda. So I've become really interested in change, especially in the synagogue. And when I started to teach myself, I ran across this woman. I'd like to introduce you to a heroine of mine. We've never met. Her name is Rear Admiral Grace Murray Hopper. She died in 1992. She really was a Rear Admiral in the Navy. She was also a computer scientist. For people who know computer, she was partially inventor of the COBOL language. This is the woman who really helped start it all. She was the one who created the term debugging. Because her computer wasn't working well one day, it was really slow. She looked behind it, there was a moth stuck in the computer, and she took it out, and it's called debugging. She's the one who did that. By the way, this lovely, beautiful woman has a destroyer named after her. It's lovely. She also said the following. Here's a great quote. It is often easier to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission. Oh, she's the one who said that. The most dangerous phrase in the English language is, we've always done it that way. By the way, a woman of that age as a Rear Admiral in the Navy, isn't that change? She used to say, humans are allergic to change. They love to say, we've always done it that way. I try to fight that. That's why I have a clock in my office that runs counterclockwise. And finally, she said, a ship in port is safe. But that is not what ships are for. Ships are made to sail out to sea and to do new things. So I'd like to try to share with you an exploration of the generations in two different ways. One is in our American culture, and then we're going to do it in a Jewish way. And so I go back to Life magazine, okay? The Great and the Silent Generation. This was a generation of people, they're basically born from 1925 to 1942. These are the people that built our nation. The Great Generation were very hard workers, and they were very proud of what they built. We have many members of that generation in this room here this evening. They built our institutions, they created our social networks, and they're ferociously proud of the institutions that they built. Basically, these are the people that either came to these shores just prior to the Holocaust or just after and said, we need to fit in, so we're going to build these Jewish communities. And so they did. Baby boomers. That's me. I'll be 56. Baby boomers, we said to our parents and grandparents, thanks for building these institutions, but there's still inequity in the world. There's still inequity with women. There's still inequity with people of color. So we need to protest. Now, I grew up in Englewood Cliffs, New Jersey, which is right across the George Washington Bridge. Every Thursday, I cut school in the afternoon, all of us did, and we went to protest the United Nations. It didn't matter what we were protesting. We just wanted to protest. That's what baby boomers do, right? We want the world to be socially better. By the way, right now, baby boomers, we're at our peak level of income as a generalization, and because my mother told me, we consider ourselves to be quite special, don't we, baby boomers? You bet we do. Gen X. Do we have any Gen Xers in the house? Excellent. Oh, come on, you're lying. There's got to be more. Gen Xers, raise your hand again. Okay. Give it up for your Gen X senior rabbi, ladies and gentlemen. So let me introduce the Gen X generation to you. Okay, the Gen X generation, they're very highly educated, they're very happy, and family is central. There simply isn't anything more important than family. Let me pause. For those of us in the Great Generation and baby boomers, family is central to us too. But they're the first generation that's walking the walk. We're the ones that said we work too hard. They're the ones who are starting not to. They're putting their families first. They're also treating gender and families, they're starting to treat them equally the same. It's the Gen X generation where we're seeing at-home dads. At-home dads is now becoming normative, and it's because of the. I'm hearing. Don't get any ideas, Rabbi. Right. Their worldview is of dictatorships. They want to combat corruption. Whereas baby boomers, we're at the highest level of income. Gen Xers, hear this loud and clear because we're missing this. They're at their highest level of volunteerism. They're at their highest level of volunteerism. Evidence of the fact that in most corporate workplaces, it's the workers themselves and the management themselves who said, we as a group need to volunteer. So they do that even at work. And this is the first thing that's really interesting for our purpose this evening. They don't ascribe a value to the word institution. They don't join. They belong. They love to belong. But it's not important to join. Baby boomers, can you raise your hand? Okay, ready? We will pay $2,500 a year for a synagogue membership and not go. We will spend $2,500 a year and join a gym and never go. And we say, Baby boomers are not, Gen Xers won't do that. They're just not going to do that because institution isn't important. For them, by the way, they're not joining gyms. They're getting personal trainers. Why? It's because they're smarter. They're getting personal trainers because they can do it when they want to, at their schedule, and it's about belonging to a group, not joining a gym. My favorites are coming up. My children, the millennial generation. Do we have any millennials here? Excellent. Okay. The first thing I need to tell you about millennials is when the generational studies started, it started out to be a pejorative, and they were then called the spoiled generation. Take that and throw it in the garbage. Okay, they're not spoiled at all. By the way, if we go back to Gen Xers, Gen Xers are the singular generation that is most in debt by the time they graduate college. Many of the many of the baby boomers will owe more money in school than we already are paying on our mortgages. So they're highly in debt. You want to know why they're not joining in droves? They're highly in debt. Millennials. They're the 9/11 generation. They were born with a PDA in their hands. The great generations are saying, what's a PDA? It's an iPhone. They were born with an iPhone in their hand. It is the me generation. While the great generation said, we're going to build institutions for our community, and the baby boomers said, thanks for these institutions, but we're going to use them to protest because we've got to make this world better. And the Gen Xer said, well, that's all fine and good, but it's really about my family. I want to make sure my family is center in my life and have my values. And the millennials are saying, but this is really about me. I've got to make sure I'm going to be a professional. I have to make sure that I'm going to be happy in my life. This, by the way, is what I call the birthright generation. Birthright is when you go to Israel for free, right? The millennial generation wants everything for free. It's not because they're spoiled, it's because we invented that. And we gave it to them. They also don't need to belong because everything is a click away. Hold on. Pay no attention to this man running over here. Just talk amongst yourselves. I have a prop. This is really embarrassing. Here it is. Okay. Do we have internet in here? Oh, it's not going to work. I don't have internet. If I had internet, I would go, hey Siri, what's the Talmud?
Yes.
And she would tell me. We don't have internet. I should have pre-planned.
We have internet. We have internet. We have a password.
I know, but work with me, okay? Because I
You want me to ask
go to bed.
Siri?
Sure, yes. You're on the temple's internet? All right, she knows your voice, not mine.
Yes. What do you want me to ask?
Say, hey Siri, what's the Torah?
Hey Siri, what's the Torah?
I found an entry about Torah on Wikipedia. Shall I read it to you?
No. and on that Wikipedia, don't go away. If she follows it, she's going to get about 300 references, real references to the Torah. Oh, I follow this. Some of them are going to be pictures, and some you can click and hear the Torah portion. Right? Ask Siri when Tu B'Shvat is.
Hey Siri, when is Tu B'Shvat?
Looking. I found something on the web about
Okay,
It's the action.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. So these kids grow up with this. I have a 27-year-old daughter. She lived in Manhattan for 2 years. And she showed me the most amazing thing. Rabbi, if you and I were just hanging out, and I would say, do you want to do Shabbos? Right? That means dinner, go to shul. But when the millennial generation in Manhattan say, do you want to do Shabbos? This is what it means. Sure. Oh, look, there's a service at 7:15 in the Upper East Side. Oh, at 7:30 down in the Bowery, there's a meditation service. 8 o'clock in the Upper East, 8 o'clock in the Upper West Side, there's a meditation service. Oh, and look at that. Long Island City, they're having a musical service, and there's a great bar near there. Why don't we go there? They literally swipe and pick out what's going to be best for them. Because the millennial generation will not spend $2,500 a year to a gym they won't go to or a synagogue they won't attend. When I ask the millennials, oh, can I have a millennial who's not a rabbi raise her hand again? The whole table? All right, hold on. Okay. But wait a minute, it's not fair. You're here. So why are you here? Like, what's your connection? They're your parents. And how old are you? You're 28. You're perfect. Okay. And what do you do? We never met, right? We didn't? We never. What do you do?
Sales associate.
Are you, great. Do you belong to a synagogue?
Not exactly.
That's Hebrew for my mom and dad do. Okay, so, would you be 100% honest with me? Okay, would you spend, you're a young working woman, would you spend $1,200 to join the synagogue?
Probably not.
Okay, that's Hebrew for, are you crazy? Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, I feel like such a jerk. These are the musicians' tables? Got it, okay. Okay, if there was a, you're turning red. Okay, if there was a service where I told you there was it was three-dimensional music, it was a seven-piece band, right? With amazing singers, right? Would you pay? And it's awesome, and it's 45 minutes long. Would you pay $36 to go?
Probably.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that? Yes. She said, probably. That's Hebrew for yeah, right? Because, listen to this. This is going to weird you guys out. There's a synagogue in Boston that only does services. That's all they do. They don't have school. They just do services. And they're funky. And there's no membership fee. At the end of services, they say, we're so glad you were here tonight. You have elevated us by being here. If you would like to support our community, there are 2 tzedakah boxes on your way out. We'd be most appreciative of your support. How many people just got a pit in their stomach that sounds like passing the plate? Okay, thank you. That was awesome. What's your name? Emily. Your family is like really musical. Yeah, okay. So did you hear that? She'll pay $36 to go to a service. That's pretty awesome, right? That's pretty incredible. So, hold on. Oi! Now can I tell you this in David's way? Judaism 1.0. This is Jewish. This is 5,000 years of Jewish history in 3 minutes. Judaism 1.0 is Judaism of the Bible. It's Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah. It's the God of religious school. This is what we taught our kids. Judaism 1.0. It's God through the prophet. Judaism through the prophet. Judaism 1.0 comes to an end when this guy named Solomon builds a temple in Jerusalem. And now we have the beginning of Judaism 2.0. In Judaism 2.0, it's no longer God through or Judaism through the prophet. It's through the centrality of worship. We created the temple. By the way, this was alive before the temple in Atlanta, right? It was the centrality of worship and the sacrificial cult. Has anybody been to Israel recently? Or forget recently, has anyone been to Israel? You've been to the Southern Wall excavation where you're actually looking at the Southern Wall. Behind you in that corner were the stores. People would schlep 3 days from where they live. They'd sell their furs, they'd get their money, they'd change them into shekels, then they'd buy a turtle dove or a lamb, and then they go up into the temple to have a holy barbecue. And by the way, that's Hebrew for dues. Because what happened? God wants the blood and the fat. Who eats the meat? The priesthood and with the family. That's how you sustain the priesthood. So Judaism 2.0 is the centrality of worship and the sacrificial cult, and money is introduced. Judaism 2.0 comes to a crumbling end in what year? 70, when the temples were destroyed, and now we have the birth of Judaism 3.0. Judaism 3.0 is Fiddler on the Roof. We went all over the world when we were exiled from Jerusalem, but most of us went to Eastern Europe. And what happened there? We invented a language. We invented music. We invented art and literature and thought. The community was huge. We brought with us from Jerusalem the idea of mikvah, but now we use mikvah not only for ritual purity, but we use mikvah to define where a community stops and where it starts. When it was too far to walk to a mikvah, we built another mikvah and another community around them. Judaism 3.0 comes to a burning end. When? The Holocaust. Great generation comes to the United States, and we have the beginning of Judaism 4.0. Judaism 4.0 is Judaism through membership. Let me pause. Judaism 1.0 is God or Judaism through the prophet. 2.0, God or Judaism through the centrality of worship and the sacrificial cult. 3.0, God or Judaism through community. By the way, in 3.0 we invented the rabbi and the cantor. Judaism 4.0 is Judaism through membership. What makes you a Reformed Jew? A membership card. What makes you conservative? A membership card. That's all it is. Would you educate my children? Oh, absolutely, but you have to join first. My mother just died. Would you officiate? Oh, I'm so sorry. Absolutely. Are you a member? Right? It's Judaism through membership. So that leaves us where we are today. I believe, friends, that we are on the cusp. A cusp, by definition, means neither ending nor beginning. We're in the middle of the ending of Judaism 4.0 and the beginning of Judaism 5.0. Now, what's bringing 4.0 to an end? This. This is not evil. It's fantastic. But it's changing Judaism. In 1899, Mark Twain wrote an article for Harper's Ferry magazine. And basically this is what he said. Mark Twain, the Jew should not exist. I see some of your heads nodding that you know the essay. The Jew should not exist. Peoples have risen up on the planet and have tried to extinguish the Jew. But the Jew remains. And the Jew outnumbers us in medicine, in science, in literature, in thought. Many peoples have come and go, but the Jew remains. Quote, what is the secret to his immortality? My friends of Beth, I believe the secret to our immortality is our ability to change. When we had to leave the desert and we built a temple, we changed, and we changed it from the prophet to prayer. When we had to leave Jerusalem and we moved into the shtetls, we changed it from prayer to community. And now, very few of us in this room define our Jewishness by prayer. We define our Judaism by being a member of a synagogue. And now our our millennials especially, and to some degree our Gen Xers, are not joining. So we have to meet them where they are. 2 more points, and then I want to hear some of your thoughts. So, by the way, Saturday night Havdalah, it'll be great. It's only an hour. It's going to be, please come, you'll love it. If you're in jeans, come in jeans. It doesn't matter. You'll love it. 1 hour in, out. I'm a song leader. Okay? I'm a musician. It's in my DNA. I'm a product of Eisner Camp. Eisner Camp is your Camp Coleman. Do we have any Camp Coleman families here? Yeah. Okay. So I'm from Eisner. That's the Northeast Coleman. And and by the way, Eisner made me into the Jew I am. This is what happened on Friday night in the 1970s. The song leader would come out for Shabbat and get on the stage. The stage were 4 milk cartons turned upside down, right? And then we would sing really loud, because there were no microphones back then, right, in the dining hall. And all of the kids were dressed in white. And all the counselors were dressed in white. And 700 voices would sing this way. And the energy was unbelievable as a song leader. And then, after having 700 people singing at the top of their lungs, dressed in Shabbat white, when the Shabbat song session was over, they'd run out to the quad where there'd be Israeli dancing. And it was Jewish nirvana. It was Jewish Woodstock. It was amazing. So when I was a regional director of the Northeast region, the Eisner Camp just built a new building. You have the same building at Coleman. We all have them. It's an octagonal building. We call ours the Beit Am. And I went to Eisner Camp to visit my niece and nephew. And besides, I was a regional director, so I wanted to throw my weight around and go to camp, because I can. And so I went, we had Shabbat dinner, and then the song session was actually held in the Beit Am. So I go into the Beit Am, and what do I see? I see a stage in the center of the room. Up on 4 sides of the room were PowerPoint presentations of the words to the songs. Now, for musicians, you know this to be intrinsically wrong, but there were 4 song leaders with Madonna headsets and wireless pickups, standing like this. So there were 4 song leaders, so everyone can see a song leader. And then the song session started. I saw the oldest unit, those would be the 16-year-olds, jumping up and down, going like this, like this, all around the stage, like right up, belly on the stage. I saw a group of counselors dancing with their kids over there. I saw a group of 8th grade girls in a blob, facing each other, singing their hearts out. I see lots of groups like that, with boys and girls in globs, facing each other, singing. And I see 2 boys who were playing checkers in the back because it's too loud. I see some counselors flirting over there. I see some counselors with youngest kids holding the kids' hands as they're dancing. And I'm realizing, oh my God, I only hear 4 voices. I only hear 4 voices, and they're distorted and they're loud, and I only hear 4 guitars that are not even in tune. I didn't hear a person sing. I saw them sing, but I didn't hear them sing because it was so loud. And then I said, oh my God, this is the internet. It was a shared experience of a central thing happening. But there were different communities celebrating that in different ways. And so because I'm a song leader, and I know that and they weren't wearing white. They were wearing nothing. It was terrible, ripped, gross. Bleh, right? Where's the honor to Shabbat? Right? And so I did what any other good song leader would have done, because I could have done it better. I could have really shown them what a real song leader does. So what did I do? I went to the back by the door, and I went like this. Because I could do it better. Song session ends. The kids run past me out the door to the quad for Israeli dancing, and what did they say as they passed me? That was the best Shabbat of my life. That changed my life. If my synagogue did this, I would come every Friday night. How am I going to explain this to anybody? And then my hands went like this. To this. And I realized that my job was not to be in the room. My job should have been being outside of the room, building a bridge so they can build Judaism 5.0. Listen to this. Everyone say Mazel Tov. Mazel Tov. Thank you. My daughter got married in May. Nice Jewish boy. As a matter of fact, you want to hear something really funny? My daughter's Jennifer Wolfman. She married a guy named Jesse Wolf. His father is a Jewish educator, and his name is David. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Our grandkids are going to go, which one is the man? I'm going to go. Okay, Jen and Jesse. They both grew up in Jewish homes. They both grew up in homes where there were Jewish educators. They both lived the times and seasons of Judaism at home. They all went, both Jen and Jesse went to synagogue. Both Jen and Jesse did youth group. Jesse went to day school. Jen and Jesse both did their 16-year-old trip to Israel. They both did Jewish summer camp. They both did Hillel. They met where? J-date. They got married. Now they both teach at Schechter. Will they have a Jewish home? Been there, done that. They bought a home, and the first Friday night they invited both sets of parents over for a Hanukkah bayit. Beautiful. We do Shabbos every Friday night. Will they raise Jewish children? Of course they're going to raise Jewish children. They're Jewish educators. Of course they're going to raise Jewish children. Will they support Israel and Jewish causes? Of course they will. Will they join a synagogue? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. And I'm not sure there is one right now for them. They need to invent 5.0. If we were able to take Judaism 3.0 and change it for us, if we had the chutzpah to say, I'm going to sit next to my wife, if we have the chutzpah to allow Debbie Friedman of blessed memory to write a song, Misha Berach, and everyone in the Reform movement going, if we all go, Shalom Rahav, and mean it, the music that we sang tonight, the cantor's music that she composed, oh my God, that's magnificent. If we could listen to this angel over here, yes, you, right? Do you think my great-grandfather, the Talmudic scholar, would think that that was Jewish? That was the most Jewish prayer I heard in months. It was amazing. If we had have the audacity to change Judaism again, then we have to allow our children to. Last point. If you are so inclined, close your eyes and imagine something in your mind's eye that you love about your Reform Judaism. Something that you love with a passion. That your parents or grandparents would find uncomfortable. Any volunteers? What's something that you love about your Reform Judaism that your parents or grandparents might find uncomfortable? Anybody? Please. Sitting with your spouse. Excellent. Someone else?
Playing the piano.
Playing the piano. One more. All the way in the back. Pardon? Like the service we had tonight. Okay. They would find that uncomfortable. One more time. Imagine something in your mind's eye that you love about being Reformed. Something you love about your Judaism that your parents or grandparents would find unimaginable. Unimaginable.
Woman rabbis.
Okay, women rabbis. I get that every time. That's imaginable. It's a shanda. But remember, Yentl was invented by Shalom Aleichem. So it was imaginable. Yes? Women reading from a Torah. Again, a shanda. But they could imagine it. It was evil. But they could imagine it. Yes? Noisy children and services. They probably experienced that. I'm going to help you. I read in the Jewish Telegraphic Agency, the JTA, this morning, that a transgendered Jewish man gave natural childbirth this week. A transgendered Jewish man gave natural childbirth this week. That is unimaginable. A black, pregnant, lesbian rabbi. Unimaginable. We have transgendered rabbis today. And we have black, pregnant, lesbian rabbis today. It's no longer unimaginable. Now, imagine something in your mind's eye that you think your children or grandchildren might love about their Reform Judaism that you might find uncomfortable?
They can wear whatever they want.
Say it again?
They can wear whatever they want to shul.
Our children or grandchildren can wear whatever they want. It makes us uncomfortable. Somebody else. Now imagine something in your mind's eye that your children or grandchildren are going to love about their Reform Judaism that you are going to find unimaginable. And the answer is we can't. We can't. And that's the Judaism we need to create. We need to allow for our children to create Judaism 5.0. We can't do it for them because we don't get it, but they get it. Now we have to do this while supporting the Judaism that we love. We have to be able to create a Judaism where there are many, many doors. So we can have people come in from whatever facet of life that they're going to enter. Rabbi Ron Friedman shared this with your clergy today. By the way, I sat with your clergy today. If this is what they're doing after 6 months of working together, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next year. You go very, very. It's a lot of energy. Rabbi Friedman in Boston, Temple Israel, is a synagogue exactly your size. They've created services like what you have inside, where there's what I call three-dimensional music every week. Their sanctuary is so huge. Unlike you, they don't get the turnout that you got. So they put theater thingies on the pews so no one would sit there. It was too big, so they moved out to the atrium. They moved out to the hallway. 20 people would come, 50 people would come, 100 people would come, 300 people would come. They decided they have to go back into the sanctuary. They put up these ropes so everyone forces themselves to sit up front. But there's this octogenarian woman, let's call her Sarah. And Sarah comes in every Friday night, and she takes off the rope from the last row. She sits herself down and puts the rope back on. And every week the rabbis are saying, Sarah, come on down, come on down. And she's very happy to sit in the back. The way they end services is exactly how you ended it tonight. Everyone gets a tambourine, and they all dance out of the sanctuary into the social hall for the Oneg Shabbat. And as they're all dancing past Sarah, the rabbi said, Sarah, you should join us. And as he was extending his hand to say Shabbat Shalom, she grabbed his hand with two of hers and said, Rabbi, I'm so glad so many people have found their home here at Temple Israel. Tell me, where's mine? So we have to be able to create Judaism, allow the Gen Xers and the millennials to create Judaism 5.0, and we have to keep supporting the Judaism that we hold to be precious. There's a story, an old Hasidic story of a very, very wise rabbi. Knew the answer to everything. And in his shtetl, there was a very, very wise guy who just liked to fool everybody. So the wise guy goes to the wise rabbi and says, Rabbi, behind my back I'm holding a bird. Tell me, is it dead or alive? So the wise rabbi thought to himself, if I say it's alive, he's going to show me a dead bird. He's going to break the bird's neck and show me a dead bird. If I say the bird is dead, he's just going to show me a live bird. So the rabbi said, the answer lies in your hands. Friends, the success of getting our 20-somethings and 30-somethings into our synagogues at the numbers that we enjoy, it depends on us. Are we going to be comfortable enough to try different things so we can attract others to come in? This is why I call this presentation Being Comfortable Holding Our Discomfort. We don't have to be comfortable about... There are people who will... When we go to CCR conventions, rabbinic conventions, there are people who daven, who pray from their iPhone because they have the Mishkan, they have the prayer book on here. I think it's weird. But they're praying to God. Rather than fetching, I should just hold my discomfort. So that's what we're going to be doing with the Sisterhood tomorrow. We're going to be talking about what is the why of Sisterhood, and what will get women to come. What do 20-year-old women want that 60-year-old women don't want? What are the two generations? How do they differ from one another, and how can we help? We're going to be stretching the limit, really doing some amazing dreaming and imagining just what if, what could be. And then tomorrow night we're going to wrap it up with just a beautiful Havdalah service, which will talk about change and tradition at the same time. So friends at Beth, thank you very, very much for welcoming into your family. And I would love to thank you.